Hey, young man. Good? Good? Sounds just good? It's only one place. Okay. All right.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to order the National School District 159 School Board meeting at 6:30. Roll call.
Brown, Edgecombe, President Ellis,
Here.
Gordon, Owen, Palmer.
Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mission statement.
to educate, empower, and inspire the whole child.
At this time, I'd like to turn it over to the superintendent for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Clinton. I'd like to first start with, Mr. Moffitt, is our boys here? Yes?
You are.
You are? You want to
You are.
come back to you?
You can.
I want to start the presentation. I'm going to bring forth Dr. Demetria Brown with our financial report as well as introduction of our construction bid. Dr. Brown?
Is that right?
Can you hear me now? Yes. Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Alfred. Welcome, community, staff members, and members of the Board of Education. The first item that the business office has under the agenda is the January 2020 dashboard. It is the financial dashboard that gives an overview of where we are year to date as well as month to date. The top half goes over what transactions occurred during the month of January, and then that bottom half of the sheet shows what transactions occurred year to date. So if you take a look at that, we've had total revenues from all sources totaling about $18.77 million through the month of January. And we've had total expenditures that are right around $20,773,000 for the month through the month of January. So if you take a look over to that right-hand side, what you'll see is that we're roughly about 48% of total revenues, but we're approximately about 53% of total expenditures for the year. So this is, again, where the fund balance is very important in maintaining the financial buoyancy, if you will, of the district. Local revenues, as you see, account for the vast majority of income to the district, right around $14.5 million. And then we have state revenues just under $3 million and federal revenues coming in at $1.3 million. Our ed fund, we're right around 51% of total revenues that we're expecting for the year against about 49.72% total expenditures for the year. So we're right about where we need to be from a revenue and expenditure standpoint on the ed fund side, but total expenditures, which includes everything, we're just slightly above revenues for the month of January. Are there any questions with respect to the financial dashboard? Yeah. There should have been a copy in your documents. It was forwarded. I can provide you with a copy of it if you like. Okay. All right. The next item that I have on the finance agenda is the introduction of our contractor that is being recommended to receive the awarding of the secured entryway project. So as part of the fiscal year 2020 annual budget, the Board of Education approved the district to move forward with securing the entryways for our K-5 buildings. Those buildings include Murray Gates, Woodgate, and Neil Armstrong, because those are the buildings where you can walk straight into the building facility and have free reign and free access to students and staff. In a post-Sandy Hook environment, we really want to secure our entryways to protect our most vulnerable, which is our students and our children. And so on January 28th, at about 2:00 p.m., we held a bid open along with our architect of record, Tria Architecture, and we received 7 bids from 7 different distinct companies on the secured entryway project. At that time, the bidders were told that Tria Architecture would be doing the bid tabulations, and then they would be contacted after all bid tabs were reviewed by the architect to award the bid. Part of that process includes checking references. It also includes checking to make sure that any company that has bid on a project has actually done a project that is similar in nature to the project that they're currently bidding on. And so at this time, what we wish to do is present Robert U. Construction, Inc. For approval to construct the secured entryways of each of the buildings. So I will hand it over to Mr. Yu from here, and I will also be pulling up his presentation.
Thank you.
Good evening, School District 159. I'm here in response to an invitation to represent Robert Reed Construction. My name is Benjamin Yu, I'm Vice President. Our firm has been recommended as GC for your secure entryway project by District Architect, Tria Architecture. First introduction of my company, we're located in Burridge, Illinois. We're general contractors. We've been in business since 1974. We're family owned and we operate in the commercial public bid sector. Our company hires union workers and we are state of Illinois and city of Chicago minority business enterprises. Locally, we've done work in Tinley School District 146 for Memorial School. We did a library full day kindergarten edition for about $3 million and 2013 and 2014. Kirby School District 140, also in Simi Park. We performed at Kirby Middle School, the NAP gut of the school, secured vestibules and finishes for $5.5 million in 2014. And in Kirby School District 140 again, we did Helen Keller Elementary School. We did a library addition, an MVP gut, secured vestibule and finishes for a project of $7.1 million in 2016 and 2017. The current project for your approval is a $1.5 to $2 million budgeted secured vestibule project for Yates, Armstrong, and Woodgate. Prairie is also involved with a small signage project. The main attributes of this project for the three schools are secured vestibules, as mentioned, to create a man trap before the visitor is able to enter the school. They'll have to be credentialed. We'll also be installing security film glazing, making enhancements to the ADA needs for the nurses' restroom, and we'll be also working on school branding and signage for the offices, and we'll be updating finishes and casework. At Yates in particular, we'll be swapping the main office with the art room locations, and we'll be creating a small group space. At Armstrong, we'll be swapping the conference room with the main office and creating a social worker's office. And at Woodgate, we'll be enlarging this office. At Prairie, as mentioned, we'll just be doing some school branding for some logos. Similar project we had completed was for Edison School District in 2018, which involved 5 schools and was budgeted for $1.5 million. Conclusion, currently on table is for School District 159. We have a project involving 4 schools at a cost of we previously done work in the school district in 1996 that involved 4 schools for $1.4 million. I'd like to thank School District 159, Ms. Brown, and Mr. Maker. I look forward to the opportunity to possibly work with you guys, and then also with your district architecture. At this time, if you guys consider tree architecture's recommendations to the board to approve Robert Reconstruction as general contractor for your secure entryway project. At this time, I'll open up to any questions the board or the audience may ask regarding this project. Thank you.
So, Mr. Hugh, for Myra Yates, can you explain just a little bit how that would work? I can see the entryway is really open in that front area. You have to walk back to the principal's office or to the reception desk there, and then back to the principal's office, the nurse's office to the side. How's the new formation going to go?
So unfortunately, this one right now is for Neil Armstrong, but at Yates, I believe currently the art classroom is right next to the entryway, and that's being slated for the new district offices. Funnel all visiting traffic to go through the office prior to the reception area, prior to entering to school. So it'll be a double bus entry system, I believe, and vice versa. We'll be swapping the art room to go where the current district offices are. That's the most expensive of the 3 secure entryway projects. For this location here, we'll just be widening the main office about 4 feet and then creating a new doorway to divert traffic into the main office before you enter through the vestibule. And then at Neil Armstrong, we'll be blocking the conference room and the main offices just to take advantage of more needs for the offices and resources and stuff. So the conference room will be a little bit downsized, but due to the layout of that building, be able to take utilize more of the space, the current conference room to utilize for the nurse's office, and also to create a social worker room.
And this is a summer project with a guaranteed completion before the new school year?
Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Yu?
Thank you.
At the district office, if the board wishes, we have blueprints of all projects. So you're more than welcome to come to the district office and we can retrieve those for you. Or in the alternative, if you send me an email, I can send out a PDF file. Okay. All right. That concludes my report. You have the recommendation letter from TRIA along with the rest of the bid tabs for your review and approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. At this time, I want to bring forth Ms. Shelia Friday, who will be acknowledging our super fantastic 7th grade boys basketball team, as well as she will speak on the 150th year celebration. Thank you. Ms. Friday.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Before I start, I'd like to have the coach come up, Mr. Muppet. And I just want to talk a little bit about our team. So it's no secret that Golden Kyle's 7th grade basketball team are the best, among the best in the state. Under the coaching of Mr. Darryl Moffett and the team manager Darius Burgess, they are known to be among the best of the best. The team's record during the regular season was 23. They went on to win both the regionals and sectionals and then competed at the state level. Our team, our 7th grade boys basketball team, they are ranked number 4 in the state of Illinois. Overall, record for the season was 25-5. So congratulations to the entire team, to our coach, our athletic director, Dr. Brian Mays, Principal Payne, and our entire school. I'd like for Mr. Moffett, because you know your voice, to present a medal. So we have a medal for each of our students. And I see that all of them are not here, but I know you're going to be sure that they get them. So if you can just bring your boys up, and I'd like for you to award them the medals. If you'd like the board members to come up as well.
Can I bring our
It's
team
more-
along? Yeah.
As a son of our school team.
How's everybody? All right, good. I'd just like to thank our superintendent, Dr. Humphrey. I'd also like to thank the Board of Education for your continued support. It was a hard-fought season. It's also, motivation for next year as well to try to do the best that we possibly can. One of the things I always try to help these boys do is stay out of trouble, keep the grades up, that type of thing. You never know what kind of blessing you may have if you continue to do that. For instance, like just one example, Coach Aaron Hughes, he's at Marion Catholic right now. He has a full ride to University of Iowa. Coach Martish Mitchell, he's a senior right now. He was a product of elementary school in District 159 under Colin Powell, Coach Shem. He has a full ride to the University of Minnesota. So you never know what kind of blessing that you may have. You can stay out of trouble, keep your grades up, and then listen to the coach. And it starts early. You listen to your coach and you keep your grades up, you stay out of trouble, you respect your parents, and tell them good things will come, but you have to continue to do that. So I would like to bring all the boys up, and then I'll introduce all your names once you come. So everybody come stand over here. Shoulder to shoulder, ladies. Shoulder to shoulder. Shoulder to shoulder. All right. So, I would like to introduce, first in order, we're going to go in order of your team numbers. Number 1, Terrell Morton. Number 13, Jamon Overall. Gabriel Patterson. Number 31, Matthew Moore. And number 45, the Mayor John Owens. And I will give the rest of the numbers to the other boys in their absence. Thank you.
So in addition to honoring our boys, I think it's appropriate that we honor the coach. Mr. Moffett shared with me a letter he received that I'd like to share with you guys. Dear Coach Moffett, congratulations on your nomination as IBCA Junior High School Boys District 8 Co-Coach of the Year. The Illinois Basketball Coaches Association will honor all of our coaches for the year's selection for the junior high school, and at the college level at our 14th annual Hall of Fame banquet, which we held at the River Arena on the campus of Illinois State University on May 2nd. So I think it's appropriate that we acknowledge our coach as well.
So can we have our team come up to the front so we can take pictures, please? Thank you. And Coach? Let's give him a round of applause. Do you have any other board members and superintendent, please, that would like to get the picture as well? Okay, so by now everyone has received our latest edition of Community Connection, which is our quarterly newsletter. I have received numerous calls, positive calls and feedbacks from board members, community members, and staff. This newspaper gives us an opportunity to tell our story our way and in a positive way. The newsletter will also be sent electronically to various foundations and corporations. I want to talk briefly about our 150th anniversary gala. It is going to be held on June 10th at the Convention Center from 6 to 9 p.m. Our theme for the event is honoring our past, embracing our future. Board Vice President Palmer, Mr. Bruce Bromwell, and myself have volunteered to be the co-chairs of the event.
committees are made up of staff and community members who are committed to making our gala a success. Board members, I have provided you all with the save the date you all should have right now. And if you all have any questions, yes. That's just a save the date, something that I put together today so that you all can share that with your constituents. But that same save the date will be going out to municipalities, to other stakeholders as well. I want to talk briefly about our website. Our new website is up and running. Mr. Short and I have identified revisions that are needed, and we will be working on it. But for the most part, we have had very favorable responses. Social media success. In November, one of the things we wanted to do, I need to say this, is to communicate better with our community. That was one of the goals of the strategic plan. You know, everybody's not going to come out to board meetings. And so what we wanted to do is go through the social media aspect of reaching out to our communities. And our social media project, or campaign as I call it, has been a great success. We started our Facebook page towards the end of November. But what I do is I look at 60 days to see where we are. And over the past 60 days, we've reached 33,033 people on our Facebook page alone. What I've learned is that people love videos. So I started posting videos. And during the month of February alone, our Pride at 159 media show reached 5,620 people. Our students from Woodgate singing Our Black is Beautiful reached 4,282 people. And Neil Armstrong's sign language class performing We Shall Overcome reached 7,074 people. So we know that we are doing what we need to do on Facebook, on Twitter, and with our media show. And I'm just really grateful that the board and our superintendent especially entrust me and Mr. Short to do these things because it definitely is working. Last but not least, coming in April, next month, we are introducing our 159 Senior Gold Card. So what is the Senior Gold Card? The Senior Gold Card will allow seniors 55 or better free entry to any of our sporting and fine art events. All our seniors basically need to do is look on our website, fill out the paperwork and mail it in, or they're free to come to our district office during the day from 9 to 1 to fill out the paperwork. So we're moving ahead with communicating with our community, not just our students and our family, but those other community members who are also stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Frank. I really don't know how I feel about being able to come to the game free at this point.
Okay, at this time, we want to actually approach the board to get approval for our calendar amendment. And I'm going to bring forth Dr. Deneen Adams to speak with the board about why we found it necessary to amend our calendar. Dr. Adams.
Good evening. Good evening again. We have before you, Board of Education, a copy of our revised calendar for the 1920 school year. We are trying to be very responsive to our staff. And one of the things that we talked about over and over again was the fact that we had parent-teacher conferences scheduled right before Institute Day. If you know our parent-teacher conferences, you know that our teachers are here on staff until 8 o'clock in the evenings. And so we had multiple conversations and listened to feedback from our staff to change our Institute Day, which was originally scheduled for the following day, starting at 8 a.m. We opted to change it to the last day of school, which will now be June 1st. And so it became a non-attendance day. It was a non-attendance day for the students already. We just switched it for our teachers so that they did not have to turn it around within 12 hours to come back and sit for professional development for that following day. So we opted to switch that in reference to being receptive and responsive to our staff. So we have before you that change that is being proposed tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. I would next like to just give kudos to our Essence of Fatherhood Award. On February 19th, we awarded many fathers with the Essence of Fatherhood Award, and we just want to acknowledge them at this time. Board of Education, last week you should have received your pulse of the district board news. I did update you with some data from our NWA and PARC. So if you could take a look at that, if you have any questions, you may contact me. There's one law I'd just like to talk about, which is our school code law, section 23.173, which now allows districts to supplement their substitute teaching recruitment for elementary and secondary schools with the use of recruitment firms. And that has never been before, so we can solicit recruitment firms because the number of subs throughout the state is rationing now. And so the state is looking for other means to recruit substitute teachers. Coming this Friday, we have our first facility walkthrough at Neil Armstrong School. As we continue to ensure safe and nurturing environments, it's important to implement regular site visit inspections. It is vital for our buildings and grounds team to ensure that we have continuous site visits where we can monitor the cleanliness and safety of our workplace. If anyone would like to join our team, we have various dates set aside: March 13th, March 18th, and March 19th scheduled for these facility walkthroughs. Mr. Dwight Majors and Dr. William Johnson will be leading those efforts. In terms of the coronavirus outbreak, we must be prepared. And I'm going to first bring Mr. Majors forward to talk about our facilities and grounds preparation, and then I will bring Dr. Johnson forward to talk about our preparations in the schools.
Good evening, everyone. So, as everyone is aware, as what is considered an official pandemic, and so the good thing I can say about our district is we are now what we classify as a level 1 status, meaning that there is no potential threat at this particular point in time. So, with our status being at a level 1, we are currently just focusing in on trying to obtain additional supplies as they become available. For those that may not know, many of the disinfectant products that we utilize on a daily basis, and also our hand sanitizers, many of those products are manufactured in China. And so as a result of that, that is what is contributing to the low numbers of items that are available at this particular point in time. Many of the vendors that we do business with on a normal basis have advised us that they will not be filling a lot of our orders. I have had, I believe, 4 orders that have been canceled through the vendor. Their efforts are going towards saving their stock for hospitals, nursing homes, and other medical environments. So what we have available to us will be extremely limited. However, the initial supplies that we do need, which consist of hand towels for drying our hands, hand soaps, and our disinfectants, which we use, which is called viricide. It's called Virex 256, which is a hospital-grade viricide and disinfectant that we use on a regular basis. We do have a relatively ample supply of those for the next few months. So I'm pretty confident that we're good in those numbers. But any of the additional supplies, such as hand sanitizer, which everybody seems to love, we can survive without hand sanitizer if we practice what the CDC has asked us to do, and making sure that we wash our hands, because that is the primary effort that the CDC would like for us to follow. And if we, of course, cannot get to soap and water, then we are to use the hand sanitizer as a backup method. But our primary method for making sure that we wash our hands is what we're targeting at this point. So our buildings and grounds team has been charged by me to make sure that we're continuing our efforts to concentrate on what we consider to be high touch points. And when I say high touch points, I don't mean high as in tall, I mean high contact touch points. So that would be our main entrances, our administrative offices, also nurse's office, our washrooms, those areas of concern where we have the highest traffic volume. Of course, we go out, we can sanitize and disinfect those areas. Of course, they're only disinfected as long as nobody uses them. But once we disinfect the door handle, the next person to come through and grab the door handle to open the door, it's no longer disinfected. So with that being said, we're trying to promote everyone to help us in helping themselves and helping the community by making sure that everyone does their part. So again, with Nurse Harvey being a good resource, we're working on our hand washing initiative and also making sure that everyone knows the cover your cough routines and making sure that if we do anyone that displays any symptoms that may be of a concern, that they're actually seeing the nurse for evaluation where they can utilize the medical professionals to help make an assessment as to whether they need to be sent home or whether they are safe to be here in the building.
Hand sanitizer, will we be providing any like hand washing stations right before the kids go to lunch or anything like that so that they can somehow cleanse their hands?
So I'll let her speak to the hand washing initiative because she's been working really diligent on that.
And I want to thank Nurse Harvey. She was very instrumental with putting our plan together, and she serves as our lead nurse for our district. So thank you, Nurse Harvey.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Nurse Harvey, District RN. What we are doing in the health department is that we're getting all kids to go over the procedure of how to wash your hands properly. What we started today here at Woodgate and we'll be implementing it in all the other buildings. When the students enter the building through our door right there, we have a sign. Ms. Tyler will be giving them a small amount because you only need a dime size of hand sanitizer. So when they come in the building, they will get a pump of hand sanitizer. That way they're able to sit down at the lunchroom table and eat their breakfast or go down to the gym. We're trying to prevent germs from coming inside. We only want to deal with the germs that we have in here, so we're trying not to bring anything else inside that we don't already have. So we're going to have them start getting, as they come into the buildings, getting a pump of hand sanitizer. We have implemented 4 years ago, every student must wash their hands before they enter into the lunchroom. So they have to wash their hands with soap and water. I've been working with Mr. Major to make sure every building has paper towels in the bathroom because I know we're on a time limit. We may have to cut off 5 minutes of recess so we can get them in there to washing their hands with soap and water. That's the only way that proves that we can fight this battle is soap and water and not as much as hand sanitizer. So I've been going over the procedures. I haven't got to all the buildings yet, but I am working my way to get into all the buildings. We have signs up in the bathrooms to show them how to wash their hands. We're actually demonstrating to them how they should be washing their hands, how they should be covering their mouth when they're sneezing into their elbows, using, if they're blowing their nose with tissues, they need to go to the bathroom and wash their hands with soap and water. So we're trying to get away from so much hand sanitizer, which we know we have a very low amount. So we're trying to ration it out where they only use it when they're coming in the door. They must use soap and water during lunchtime and when they're blowing their nose. Now, if they come down and they have a fever, we're sending students home immediately. We're not only battling COVID-19, we are battling the common cold and flu. The same procedures work the same way. We have to send kids home. So we have to make sure we have the correct contact number. If they're presenting any symptoms, we are calling the parents, asking them, have you traveled outside of the state? Have you traveled out of the country? Do you know anybody that has traveled out of the country? So we are asking specific questions when kids come down when we're making these phone calls. And we're starting to keep a log of every student that is calling in saying they're sick. We're calling them back, asking them, what are your symptoms? So we can know and just to make sure we don't have any cases of coronavirus or anything. So we're trying to be very proactive with trying to keep our little people and our staff safe because we want everybody to be safe. This way we're protecting the staff as the children come in. Any questions? Yes.
How does that look at COVID panel? Because we have 600 students coming through in the morning in 2 different sets of doors. So we would have to have like 12 staff members at each door pumping hand sanitizer. So
Yeah, with the Colin Powell, I don't know, do we have the stationary push hand sanitizers where we can get it down?
I think we probably need to have discussion about Colin Powell with
Yeah,
Mr. Payne and a team. So why can't we, Mr. Payne, meet tomorrow with Nurse Harvey to see how we can work that at Colin Powell?
And get those, we get that together. Okay. Any more questions? Yes.
Is the voting coming? Are we still using Maria Yates as the voting center? Because that's going to bring a lot more traffic into the building. And then what will we do to sanitize after that's over?
I have extra staff on hand for that, as well as Neil Armstrong, which is also used as a site for the county. And Cedar Prairie. So we do have extra hands on deck, so once we get done with the election process, that we can make sure that things are ready to go that evening so that we go into the next morning as clean as possible.
Yes.
They mentioned we're in level 1.
Yes.
How many levels are there, and what happens if we go past level 1?
So there's a level 1, there's a level 2, and there's a level 3. So level 1 meaning there is no imminent threat at this particular point in time. So when we look at a level 2 status means that we're at risk. And so when we say we're at risk, that basically means that somebody in our community or in one of our schools has been exposed or knows someone who is related to someone who's been exposed. So the potential for them to bring that to our community is starting to grow. When we get to a level 3 status, that means we've been exposed. One of our students, one of our staff members, one of our parents has actually walked into one of our buildings, and we now know that the virus is active and it is actually here. So how we respond to each and every one of those, right now we're treating on a level 1 status, meaning we're pretty much going on the level of we're just fighting standard flu. So that's the mode that we're actually in now. Once we get to a level 2 status, then we start to look at whether we do self-isolation, and we have to go on a case-by-case basis as to what that looks like. However, there's a minimum 2-week time frame that people have to be in isolation, and once you get tested, let's assume you've been out on a 2-week time frame and you're now at day 7. If you don't show symptoms until day 7, we have to reset that clock for an additional 2 weeks. So we have to be on a case-by-case basis as to how long that person or persons will actually be out on quarantine. And if we get to a level 3 status, then we look at actually closing schools and buildings, and we hire outside contractors that are licensed in how to sanitize and clean a building of this size or one of our other schools. And we follow the directions of the CDC, Department of Public Health, and also our licensed contractor that we bring in and sanitize our buildings.
Yes, thank you guys. And we've also been getting constant updates from the state of Illinois, the Center for Disease Control, the Department of Public Health. We get daily updates from them that we are living by and we are guiding our actions by. We also will be looking at our e-learning plan, just in case we have to go on a 14-day quarantine. We're going to revisit our e-learning plan. We have a webinar scheduled with the state on Tuesday. Mrs. Johnson has started working on the e-learning plan, but we have to expedite it. The state wants e-learning plans done and completed by all schools so that if we do have to go into a quarantine state, our students will still be engaged in the educational process. For the e-learning plan, we won't know until Tuesday. We have a webinar scheduled for them with the state on Tuesday in terms of the e-learning plans. So we'll have a team there as we go through the webinar.
And you'll be able to assess the capability of our building in this district?
Yes. Ms. Johnson has been working on that over the months already. We've been looking at e-learning already. But now it's an urgent needs that we submit that plan to the state.
Will you be addressing a large group assemblies?
I will, and as I talk about for field trips, yes, I will. And so, in addition, we have a couple of trips scheduled. We have the 8th grade trip to Washington DC that is on your agendas, and we also have an 8th grade band trip, and we want to make sure that we communicate with parents as well, so that we can let parents know and give parents the recommendation of the CDC and the state as to what their recommendations are for taking these field trips and going into large areas where there's a large crowd. As well as we would like the recommendation of the board on tonight, your recommendation. So as we bring our parent groups together, we will know what focus or which direction we will head, because parents have paid for the 8th grade graduation trip, as well as paid the Disney trip is also paid for the band. So we need your direction tonight as to where the pleasure of the board in terms of taking those trips and in terms of large crowds. Many school districts have canceled all field trips, canceled going to large places where there's a large crowd, even board members. They have, a lot of districts have went to remote board meetings. So we need to make a decision tonight as to what direction we would like to go in terms of fighting this COVID-19. Are there any questions in terms of COVID-19? Do we want to have some discussion? Dr. McLean? Yes. Yes, on what direction they will have me to go in terms of, we need to make a decision as to, are we going to say no more field trips? Are we going to say we don't take our children or our staff into large crowds? You know, so we need the board to make some final decisions as to what our direction will be. Yes.
On the bottom. Look at the bottom, flip it.
Oh, it is on? Can you hear me?
Thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Yeah, just, I guess I've had a lot of time to think about this, and I was just thinking, we need to err on the side of safety.
Yes.
Now, I think that we look at maybe something that's already been planned, you know, versus something getting planned for the future. But I think there needs to be a lot of discussion and input from our nurse, you know, and other, you know.
She's been with us from the start.
Okay, right, and also from the standpoint of the logistics of everything. So, I mean, I think that the district administration is going to have to, and the board is going to have to make the final decision about
Yes.
that, because it may not be the children, because I think that I've been actually reading and looking a lot at this, you know, the precautions from the CDC, and although it's probably less likely that the students will be affected, they may have it, but they may not be sick from it, but they'll take it home, bring it into the schools. We have to protect our staff. We have to protect the parents, because if the parents aren't there, they can't, you know, they're not going to be able to, you know, get to school. And also, it could force a quarantine, even if nobody is really seriously sick. It could force a quarantine, which sounds like it would put us into a level 2 or 3. And then we'd have to have an e-learning plan in place and all of that, so it just triggers a lot of events. So I just think a team of folks, need to get together and talk about that in these field trips that are coming up. I think that the specifics of that need to be discussed, and then of course, parents have to make that decision on whether, they want their children exposed. And again, we also have contractors coming in, we have people from all over that just kind of, may not even be a district person, it could be someone coming in to vote, or someone coming in for some other reason that could affect the entire school.
I agree that we need to come together, and we need to come together soon to make those decisions.
So can we have a special meeting with the parents of the 8th graders, like call a special meeting so that we can announce it?
Mr. Payne has a meeting scheduled already for Tuesday. We'll get it out to the board members, and if we need to make it a special meeting, we will. Are there any further questions, board members? With that, Mr. President, I give my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Audience visits?
Audience to visitors, I have one public comment card. To provide our students with an exceptional learning experience. Audience to visitors, in order for our community members to be heard and to be able to conduct the business of the district, individuals who wish to address the board must fill out a card before the meeting and hand it to the board secretary. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Board Policy 2.230 states that the president may deny an individual the opportunity to speak if the individual has previously addressed the board on the same subject within the last 3 months. Remarks by any individual addressing the board which reflect adversely upon the character or motives of any person are out of order. Attacks in the form of inferences, insinuation, and innuendo against the character or motives of any person are out of order as well. Again, we have a 3-minute limit. I have one comment card from Veronica Franklin. The question, what is ESD 159 doing as it relates to cleaning and sanitizing all buildings to prevent the spread of the coronavirus? That was addressed, Ms. Franklin. The second question is, does each building have sufficient soap, hand sanitizer, and disinfectant cleaning supplies on hand? That also was addressed. Has the district placed orders for additional hand soap, sanitizer, and disinfectants? I believe that was addressed as well, Ms. Franklin. And the final question is, has ISB approved the calendar change for Institute Day posted on this agenda and communicated to staff several weeks ago? If yes, when did ISB approve the change?
Thank you. Most of my questions were addressed. As a parent who has a student who is in Washington, D.C., I know that's where the 8th graders are going. They're kind of shutting Washington, D.C. down. If you kind of want to know that for the trip, I'm bringing my daughter home this weekend. Georgetown is shut down. American University is shut down. Howard University is discussing it right now. And it's spreading pretty fast, and she wants to get out before she gets quarantined and can't come home. So you might want to take that into consideration for the DC trip. I know you said that the Institute Day that you had conversation with staff, and that's why you made the decision. I'm not on the board anymore, but my phone rings, and there were a lot of upset employees, certified and uncertified. They didn't hear about it until February 25th or whatever that date was, that the email went out. So who were you communicating with that they didn't get it? The other part problems, some of them have trips planned, etc. So I hear what you're saying, but you believe, and then you hear it, you believe it, then you verify it. That's a Ronald Reagan thing, so we'll believe it, we'll hear it, but we need to verify it. So just asking for good communication so that, they're not so upset. They don't need to have unnecessary whatever. But I am glad, and I wanted to make sure, because the communication that went out stated it was kind of misleading about the hand sanitizer, etc. So there are parents who believe that it's in every classroom from the communication that went out. It didn't go out in Golden Pal that I'm aware of because my daughter didn't bring it home. But I got it from another building. And so if you can let the parents know it's not in every classroom, maybe they have some at home that they can send with their kids. I just want to make sure that everyone is able to keep their kids safe. And you're saying wash the hands, but they can't wash them all day long, and kids are kids. So maybe if you can let the parents know if they have hand sanitizer to send it with their kids, that's just another suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I have a motion to go into closed session for appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, collective negotiating bargaining, and board of supervisors. Motion and second from this meeting.
Brown, Edgecombe, Ellis, McClinton.
Yes.
Gordon. Yes. Owens, Hall.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening.